From absolute trash to take all the cash, here are all the biomes in Scrap Mechanic ranked by me, an expert in absolutely nothing. The first one is the Meadow. And this is your most basic biome. It's basically just grass on top of hills. It also has trees and rocks. You will find damaged crates here, and you can battle hay bots and toad bots all around. I think the best thing that you can find here are some damaged crates with really good items inside, or walks that you can use to get milk. And if you don't know how to do that, you just feed them some corn and they will eventually drop milk after feeding them 3 corn, I think. So that being said, I think this is just a meh biome. It's the most common one, but it doesn't really have any notable resources. Next up, the forest. This is also very common, so you will find it all over the map. There's a lot of forest biomes in the Scrap Mechanic survival world, and this is just a step up from the first biome. It does have the same things like damaged crates and robots like hay bots and toad bots, but you will also find pigment flowers here, and somewhat concerning, you will find farm bots from time to time. They spawn in this biome. That's why even on the official Scrap Mechanic wiki, it tells you not to go in the forest without a spot gun. So yeah, it's not advisable to just run in there as soon as you get into the game. You should at least have a gun. And it's also not advisable to bring a vehicle because you can get it stuck, and by the time you can get it out, a farm bot might already be there to destroy it. That has happened to me in the past. Obviously, I went in there driving and without a spot gun because I'm just really smart and I decided to do all the wrong things all at the same time. But don't be like me, don't do that, and take care of yourself in the forest. You can also find a lot of trees in here that you can use for wood, but other than that, there's not really a lot. I guess this is probably where you will first fight a farm bot, so that's exciting. And you also get the pigment that you're gonna need for the paint tool. For that reason, I'll put it in good just above the meadow biome. Then we need to talk about the field. Here you will find a lot of walks that you can farm for either walk steaks or walk milk. You will need both of those to either stay hydrated or have enough food to survive. But in this area you'll also find a lot of hay bots. Sometimes they will go after the walks, so if you just see one killing a walk, you can go in there and get the steak from it. Or you can defeat the robots and save the walks if you want to get milk from them. However, the most important thing that you will find in this biome is the corn. As I mentioned earlier, you can use 3 corn, feed it to a walk, and you will get milk from it. And milk is very valuable because you don't really have a lot of things that replenish your thirst, especially in the beginning when you don't have fruit. You mainly just have vegetables. So corn is very important and it's easy to get in the field. A lot of times ruins will spawn in the field, and these are bigger than the ruins from some other biomes. So you might want to go in there and scavenge for even more items. However, I don't think the field is a good place to build your base because there's a lot of hay bots around and it's a big open space. Not really ideal for farming. I mean, it was very good for farming back before the robots all went insane, but now it's not a good place for farming. But because this is the main place where you can get milk, I'll put it in the good category. Then we need to talk about the lakes in Scrap Mechanic. These are really cool, but there's just one thing. You can't breathe for that long and there is no way to get yourself extra oxygen. I really wish there was an item that you could craft to get double the oxygen or something like that, but there is no way to actually do that. However, you will need to go into the lakes because this has a lot of important materials. For one, you will find the oil vents, and this is gonna be your primary source of oil before you can get a vacuum pump, and you find an oil pond in the desert, which we're gonna get to in just a bit. But this is gonna be your first source of oil, which you will need for gas, so your vehicles won't really run without you periodically going into the lake. Then you will also need it for the glue clamshells, and this is actually the only way to get glue, which you will need for a lot of materials in this game. This is actually one of the most frustrating parts of it because you constantly have to go in the lakes and get glue. There's really no way to automate this to make glue just farm itself on its own, so you will have to manually get that. That means you're gonna spend a lot of time in the lake, but that combined with the fact that you can't extend your oxygen supply really is kind of frustrating from time to time. However, you will get over it once you get all the resources that you need from there. An interesting thing is you can also find underwater caves that will most of the time lead you to some damaged crates. These aren't really that much better than the damaged crates on the surface, so I guess going in the caves is really just a waste of time. However, it is pretty cool the first time you do it. And then one more thing, here's where you will get your glow bugs, and you will need those because if you give them cardboard for whatever reason, they will poop out glow. And yes, you need to scoop it up and use it for batteries of all things. Scrap Mechanic really is just a weird game where you use cardboard, you feed it to a fish which then poops, and you use the fish's poop to make batteries. I hope that all made sense to you. But because there are so many resources in the lake, I'll put it in the take all the cash category. And not just because of the glue, which you cannot get anywhere else, but also because of the oil, glow bugs, and all the cool stuff that's in there, really. Going from one extreme to the other, let's talk about the desert. This is also a pretty good biome, and mainly because a couple years ago we had an update where they added oil ponds. Before these existed, the desert was really just not that good at all. But now that we have these, we can automate oil production, so you won't have to keep going to the lake every time you need gas for your vehicle. That means you can just put a vacuum pump in an oil pond and have a chest attached to it. That will give you crude oil, which you can then turn into gas very easy. Apart from that, a less known fact about the desert is that robots don't really spawn in there. They will sometimes wander in there, and they will spawn for a raid if you're farming inside of the desert biome. But apart from the raids, which you can't really escape, the desert biome is the safest one on the whole map because robots just don't go there. So this is also a good place to have a base. Because of that and because of the oil, I will put this in the great section. Before we move to the next biome, make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed this video because it really helps me out a lot. Thank you for doing that, and now let's talk about the burnt forest. This is also an important biome. Some of them contain the farmbot scrapyard structure, and that will have a lot of farmbots in it, like upwards of 5, 6, 7 farmbots. Yeah, it is pretty dangerous, but you will find a lot of amber here because of all the burnt trees. And you will need amber to craft some important items like the metal block 2, the metal block 3, the glass block, the glass tiled block, or the armored glass block. These are all very important, so you will need amber, and this is your main source of it. Apart from the trees here, you can also find some burnt trees at the starting area where the crashed ship is, but the stuff you find there definitely won't be enough, so you will need to come here. Apart from that, campsites often spawn in the burnt forest, and that's where you can get the caged farmers that you will need for trading, and using them you can trade for really good items. So all in all, the burnt forest really is a source of all kinds of good stuff. I don't think it's top tier, but I'll put it in the great section because you will get a lot of amber, which allows you to get better metal blocks for fortifications for your base and for just crafting other stuff. And now let's talk about the autumn forest. This is just like a normal forest, meaning it has farmbots in it, so you shouldn't go with a vehicle. You would need a spot gun going in. It has trees if you want to farm for wood, and it has other bots as well. But the thing that makes this special is the cotton plant. This is the only place where you can find cotton, and you're gonna need that to build seats, beds, and all of that stuff. And you'll probably need to use cotton before you can get to the cotton seeds. Yes, you can get those from the farmer's hideout by trading for it, but it's way easier to just get it from this biome. Because if you want to trade for them, you're gonna need 3 banana crates. And by the time you get to bananas, you would probably need a respawn bed, a seat, and other stuff that you can make using cotton. That's why the autumn forest is a great biome. Now, I'm pretty sure you disagree with me on at least one of these biomes, so let me know in the comment section below which one that is, and we can talk it out. Maybe I'll even change my opinion and move this tier list around a little bit. But make sure to also subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and go watch the next one.